So, good evening, everybody. Sorry that we started a few minutes late. Welcome to this week's edition of Biz Talk. So, this is the show for Black economic empowerment and Black business growth. My name is Ade Shakoya. As you know, CirQulate is all about increasing the amount of time that money stays within the Black community. Now, there are key pivotal moments in everybody's lives when things happen which give you flashbacks, and for me this is one of those moments, because right now I'm going to have a conversation with somebody who we go way back, but the reason why it's just such a moment for me is when I think where we came from and what the possibilities were. This was never on the radar of a possibility of what's happening right now. So tonight I'm blessed to be joined with somebody I consider my blood, even though we are not blood relations, but I consider blood, right? Fredi Nwaka, or as most of you may know him, Fredi Kruger, who's an award-winning producer, actor, director, activist. But bro, step in to welcome.
You saying, brother, bro, but listen, it's an honor, you know. Like, I think about it, man. Like, what you just said there makes me like really resonate and think because like I've known you forever, bro. Bro, I had hair. Bro, you still got hair. I had hair when we knew each other from way back. Do you know what I mean? So that shows how long we've been in each other's lives, man. It's amazing to kind of see where you are now. Do you know what I'm saying? And where I am now. And based on like what you said, man, our journeys could have gone so different. So it's a blessing for me to be in this space with you right now. Do you know what I mean?
We give thanks. So for those out there who may not know you, which are going to be very few people, but just for those few people as well, can you just quickly tell us a little bit about who you are?
Who I am, who I was.
Wherever you want to go, bro.
All right, we'll start off with what I'm doing now. So basically, I'm an award-winning writer, director, producer, and actor. As Eddie said earlier, I've made a number of feature films, acted in many different shows. Before I started doing film, I was a musician. I used to rap. I'm the only British artist ever signed to Wu-Tang in the UK. I work with young people. I go into schools, prisons, do motivational talks. I also have a charity, a CIC called the Black Academy Enterprise, that works with ex-offenders and gang members. Do you know what I mean? To steer them away from the kind of lifestyle that I was involved in when we was younger. So yeah, I'm just trying to do my bit, man. I feel like it takes a village, and I'm one of those guys, man, who's trying to be, you know what I mean, part of the village and giving back. So that's kind of like a rounded version of me, I guess.
Well, yeah, I think you've kind of made it very succinct, and we're going to delve into some more aspects of you. So like we said, we know each other. We go back many years to a time when maybe we didn't necessarily make the best decisions, or we were caught up in whatever it was, right? How did you make that transition from where we were, and I feel, you know what I mean, from where we were to where you are now as being an international rising star, first UK rapper, artist signed to Wu-Tang. Everybody knows Wu-Tang, right? 50 Cent, all of that. Talk me through that, bro.
I think it was mad. All right, so look, let's be real, because we're brothers and we can be real like this. We came from a place where we was both on the road doing madness. Like, we were going into certain colleges and terrorizing people. But let's just keep it real, innit? We was
terrorizing people from Forest College. It was.
We were terrorizing people up and down the college circuit. We was going dances and all kinds of madness. We were doing a lot. And I give faith and blessings that I'm here, but also that you're here. Because the lifestyle we were living back then, this could easily have not been like this, because we were on a road to death. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, today, I've lost over 45 friends who've been killed through gang violence and stabbings and murders and shootings. So when I say it's an honor and it's a blessing to be sitting opposite you now,
yes, my brother.
Like, many people won't understand the depth of why I'm saying that, because I know where we was. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's my first thing. I feel like when my first son was born, Malachi, that was the transition for me, bro. Like, up until that point, guns, knives, running around doing stupid stuff. We was up in that, you know what I'm saying? And then when he was born, I kind of realized that I had to be around to see him grow.
Of course.
And it was, things were getting too close, man. I'm going clubs, man's got their stomach opened up and I'm pushing back in people's stomachs. I'm raving and I'm doing my thing and pow, man's got their head licked off next to me. And you know, it's just getting close. And it's almost like someone's or something or a higher being's showing you signs. Like, if you don't move now, it's going to be too late. And I think when he was born, he came at a time where I honestly believe that if he didn't come at that point, I'd be dead now.
I hear you, brother, man. I can totally resonate. Like you said, so many have fallen, so many locked up, so many addicts, whatever. Do you know what I mean? And like I always say, there but for the grace of God. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, there's nothing different about me, you. Do you know what I mean? Could have been any one of us. It's the luck of the dice. But that was then. We've moved beyond that. And we're going to start exploring also some of the work that you're doing to kind of, you know, give back to the community and help use your life examples to help other youngsters not make the same mistakes. But so let's get into some of the stuff that you do in terms of the acting right now. Okay. So over the years, you've been in like in a few films. I know you've been in films with like 50 Cent, Ashley Waters, Danny Dyer's White Mike, and many, well, yeah, I can act as well, and many other well-known actors. How did you land those roles?
Well, again, you know what? I feel like, okay, so part of my transition and my journey, I was a bodyguard. So I looked after Biggie Small when he was alive, when he came to the UK.
Right.
I looked after Donald Jones, TLC. I've looked after Jay-Z, loads of them. And it so happened that I looked after 50 Cent for an evening when he came to the UK.
50 Cent, he don't look like he needs looking after.
You know, it kind of like he was looking after me. But the point being, you know what I mean? Like, getting paid to do a job. So me and my brother was looking after him. And I got introduced to somebody else who was making a movie at that time. And the film called Dead Man Running. And me and this guy were real cool. He was like, Fredi, go for the audition and I'll talk to them for you. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll go for it. I went to the audition. When I stepped in there, I'm like, I'm not getting this, innit? I'm not gonna get this role because I saw all seasoned actors standing around me. I'm just someone from the road who's trying to bit of bodyguard and a bit of bits and pieces. I was like, I ain't gonna get it. So anyway, cut a long story short, I went into the casting room. And the team stood up and said to me, why should we give you the part? And I just fought on my toes. I took the casting director and I put him in a headlock. And I was like, why are you going to pay those guys out there to do what I do for a living? And I walked out. And then I got the phone call a few days later saying you got the part. And then, I ended up acting. I love it. I ended up acting alongside 50 Cent. In Dead Man Running with Brenda Bleffin, Tamar Hussein, Ashley Waters, and a few others. Then off the back of that, I got the taste for it. So I ended up doing Batman, The Dark Knight. I played one of Bane's mercenaries. Then I went on to do other things. I was in Bulletproof on Sky with Noel Clarke and Ashley Waters. The Intent. What else? There's so many different things. Vertigo, Outside Bet. So I've done a bunch of films. But that was the catalyst that made me say, you know what? I can do this acting thing. And I just took the same energy from road and put it into film. And then that's what birthed the whole acting career. And then I got to the point where, again, I'm going for auditions and I'm seeing the same people all the time. And I'm kind of like, you know what, like, I don't want to be in a room full of people where I'm getting picked out of 10 or 20 people and I've got to look at who I'm competing with. So I'm like, nah, forget that. So I decided to create my own lane. So I decided to write. I taught myself how to write, how to direct, how to produce, how to cast. And then that birthed my production company. And then
let's delve into that a lot, because I think there's quite a few things there which are very interesting. So in regards to acting, for starters, did you go to acting school?
Well, no acting. The only acting that I had was survival on the road. You know, sometimes you get in a scenario where it's a bit sticky and you've got to try taking it and get out.
Of course. Life or death, right?
Yeah. It's survival, bro. So I took the same mentality and put it into film. And this is something that I teach a lot of the young kids that I work with that come out of jail. Like, they're all characters. Everyone
of course, yeah.
All play characters. So I'm like, the same energy you're putting into running around on the road doing illegal stuff, take that same energy and put it into film. Writing, directing, and acting, and it's legal, and you'll make. Do you know what I mean? You've got longevity, and you've got money you can keep. So yeah, I just took the same mentality. I never went to no acting classes. I never done no studying. I just jumped in it.
Wow, so it sounds like, well, obviously I've known you, so I've always known you've been gifted, but it seems like you've also demonstrated how somebody can take the mindset of no matter where you are, no matter what your starting point is, if you've got a clear passion and you really want something, you can go out there and get it, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. I feel like I have a very, very, very clear mantra. And mine is I never do ifs. I just do hows and whens. Because if you do ifs, then you've got doubts. If this, if that. There's some doubt in your mind. I just decide how I'm going to do something, and then I figure out when. Hows and whens. I don't have no ifs in my life.
Wow, that's a very, very powerful statement. So going back to also you spoke a minute ago about the transition you made from acting into writing. So like I said, you're the owner of 2 film production companies, I believe Nwaka Productions and Gridlock Films. How did they come about? And when did you actually recognize that actually I really can do this?
Do you know what? So after the first set of films, I was like, remember, I used to, as a rapper, I'm always doing, I have my own vision as an artist. So I'm creating bars, doing my music videos, and there's very many similarities in directing a music video as to a short film. So the first short film I'd done was dead. I mean, I thought it was great at the time, but when I look back on it now, it's rubbish, bro. You could hear people talking in the background, wind going by, there's people looking at the camera. You know, it was really bad. But
so just for the listeners out there, just recognize this. They say that every master was a novice one. So if you're trying to build, no matter what you're trying to build, right? Because what Fredi's talking about there is real. You're not gonna get it right from day one, but don't give up. Nobody got it right from day one.
Exactly, and I'm still learning. Do you know what I mean? I'm still learning, and the thing is, I'd go on set, and I'd be the directors that are more experienced than me would be talking about different things that I ain't got a clue about. So when they're saying certain things, I'm just flagging it like, oh, yeah, okay, don't cross the line, yeah. But I don't know what he's talking about, you know. But obviously, I've got to look like I know what I'm talking about, innit? So when they're talking their thing, I'm just going along with it. But the first film was dead. But I managed to get it because of who I was and who I am and what I've done. I managed to get it screened at BAFTA, and BAFTA was like, I packed it. You're only meant to have 270 people in there. I had 500 people there, all standing up. Ashley Waters was there, Noel Clark, everyone was there. So it looked to them like, wow, who is this guy? And so that put me on the map. You know, after that, I thought, okay, I've done that film, let me do another one. I did another film and another one, and then my short films were winning awards around the world. And a lot of people were like, but no one makes money off of short films because they're normally festivals and things like that. But what I was doing was monetizing them. So I'd take a short film, like 20 minutes, I'd put it in a cinema, and as a promoter, I'd sell it out. And I'd make like 20 grand off a short film, which no one don't make no money from. So that was my, okay, so I can monetize what I do by giving people an experience. Why just give them a film for 20 minutes? No one ain't spending £20 for 20 minutes. But if you give them an experience, they'll spend £20, come out, watch a show, eat a food, put on a nice dress, a nice suit, and come out. So that's what I was doing. And then off the back of doing 6 shorts like that, I then decided, it's time now to delve into the, the feature film world. And
that's interesting that's interesting that you shared that, because once again, what I'm hearing there is innovation, right? So just because it hasn't worked for somebody before doesn't mean that somebody can't come in and start looking at a different way. And it seems like, you know, like you said, from your events promotions background, you're looking at it and will say, okay, people ain't making money from a 20-minute short film, but that's because they're not packaging it right. And I can come in and I can package it right. Yeah. And hey, look, show me the money.
Oh, we all know everything's about packaging, right? So look at 50 Cent, for example. When 50 came over, me and 50 had a big conversation, right? And he's one of the most inspiring, positive guys that I've met. I was like, wow. And when you talk about packaging, 50 Cent put water into a bottle and Coca-Cola bought it for 200 million.
Yes.
Water, you know? So that's packaging. that's
hey, look. I mean, I don't know if any other deals are going like that, man. I can do some water for them as well. I even color it for them.
Bro, let's do it. We can team up, bro. You color it and I just draw in the bottle and we can make it happen, man.
There you go. There you go. We might be moving to selling air. Who knows what the future holds? Fresh air. You can get different flavors. It's all good. So, all right, so you've got these companies, you've seen an opportunity. Once again, also I heard something in there which I think is very important to some of the listeners, which is also association. Association can be good or negative. Hang around with the wrong people, boy, it can go in the wrong direction. But associate yourself with the right people, then opportunities can open. But I also believe that there's something else in there as well, because it's not just enough to know somebody, right? You've also got to be able to show up with integrity, character, and all the other things that make them say, actually, this is a good person, and therefore I'm going to put them on, right?
100%. For me, brother, it took me years for people to see me as Fredi, the director, producer. Because back in the day, when the name Kruger came up, it was always associated with rubbish. Do you know what I'm saying? There was always negativity. If it wasn't fighting, untouchables, it was always stuff that was there, innit? So it took me a long time to transition from that. So when you mentioned the name Fredi Kruger, I was like, oh, what? The film guy? Oh, what? The rapper? So it took a long time. And then once I managed to break away from that whole, I guess, mindset and what that was, I started to align myself with people that like where I want to be. Like I've always said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You're in the wrong room.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, I try to be in rooms where I'm not the guy. Do you know what I'm saying? I walk into a room, if I'm the guy, then I'm in the wrong room, man. Do you know what I mean? I say hello to everybody, hi everybody, and then I crack on in it. I need to be in a room where I can learn from other people. And so a lot for me is I align myself with people who are where I want to be. Because if you're not where I want to be, then it's a waste. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I move forward in what I'm doing.
And I hear that. I mean, that totally resonates, because like I say to lots of people, if you want to be a thousandaire, don't hang around with hundredaires. If you want to be a millionaire, right, don't hang around with thousandaires. If you want to be a billionaire, right, those are the people you need to be around. And I totally agree. You know, I think that's also a reflection of people's self-confidence, because if you have to be the most intelligent person in the room, you're not really going to gain much. You're going to be giving a lot or losing a lot. However, if you're in that situation, put yourself actively, which is what I'm hearing from you, around people who are where you want to be. And like you said before, directors might be talking some things that you don't know, but over time you pick it up, right? And then I got it. I know what this is. Oh, is this what it was? That's standard.
And also, it's about partnerships and understanding. Like if you look at, I guess, the natural world, for example, you have a shark and you have a remora, right? Now the remora will attach itself to the shark and be in the mouth and cleaning the teeth and all the rest of it and doing stuff like that. Now the shark is not going to attack the remoras, because at the end of the day, it needs the parasites eaten, and it's not going to, it cleans the teeth and stuff. And then in the same respect, the remora now gets safety by being around the shark. And when the shark moves from A to B, it gets to travel. So people have to understand, when you align yourself with the right people, it's not always about you looking at them like, oh, wow, I'm getting this from them. But they're also looking at you, at what you can give them. So you have to make yourself of value so that the person you're working with, it's a mutual benefit. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I align myself with people, I know what I have to offer. I know my self-worth. I know what I can do. But I make sure that they understand as well. So it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just trying to get from them. Do you know what I'm saying? It needs to be a mutual benefit to both parties.
I think you've touched on another really important part there. All human beings are tuned into a frequency which is called WIIFM. What's in it for me? We're always asking that question.
I like that.
I mean, that's basically how human beings work. We're always asking it, even if it's an unconscious level. You also there spoke about giving value, right? Being able to give value. So I'm recognizing that actually, if you could demonstrate value to people, you get stuff back. My experience has been that sometimes that journey starts of being, especially if you're trying to move up levels, of actually giving, so that they can see the value before you receive. Would you say that's also been similar for you?
Yeah, I mean, in the early stages, it was like
exactly.
that.
You're just trying to establish yourself.
Especially if, again, it's when you step into that room. Because if you step into a room where somebody's of a different level to you, they want to know what you're bringing into their room. I'd rather not let you in. But if you walk into somebody's room and you've got more than they've got to offer, they're putting out seats for you and opening the door for you and bringing you biscuits and tea. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's about understanding what
as long as it's custard creams.
Custard creams or digestives, but
or hobnobs.
Yeah, hobnobs can work as well. Hobnobs can work. I've got my cup of tea here, but I ain't playing. I ain't got my biscuits.
I'm feeling you. Okay. Now, this is good, and I hope that the listeners also, you guys are getting some ideas, some thoughts, and also because also part of this show is even when we have these discussions, depending on where you want to go in life, is actually, you know what? Sometimes I say if you want to get somewhere, just like what we're talking about here, look at those who've got there and find out how they followed it. And I think from this conversation, right, there's a number of key gems that are being dropped here. Some really key gems that are being dropped here.
I look at it. A lot of people, man, like you see when people make excuses for things, man. Because of I know my journey in it, and I get everyone's journey is the same, and we all have different hardships. But a lot of people want handouts and want things to be given to them. And one thing that I always say to people, man, if you want people to invest in you, you must invest in you.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't want to do what it takes to get them to the level, but they want other people to believe in them, and they don't even believe in themselves. Because if I say to a person, I'll tell you what. My first film, I remortgaged my house and I took out a loan. That's how much I believed in me. I remortgaged my house and took out a loan to pay for my first film. Just so that people, because I was going into meetings and they're like, Fredi, you're really talented, but have you done a feature film before? And I've done 6 short films, yeah, but have you done a feature film before? And I realized it was a reoccurring conversation I'm having with these big Lionsgate, E1, these big companies. They want to see proof in the pudding. Who's going to give you $1 million or 200 million to make a movie when all you've done is a short film? Do you know what I'm saying? So I took the chance, invested in myself, and I've done my first feature film. And then I've just done another feature film. I've done 3 now, which means that when I sit down in meetings, no one can challenge and say to me, well, okay, so what have you done? I've done award-winning feature films now. Like the conversation and the level of what we're speaking about is different. And now I'm in a room with people that understand the film, you know what I mean? It's a different conversation to what I was having before. You know what I mean? You can't shut me out now. Because I go into a meeting and they're like, oh, I love your script, but let's get Jonathan Parks to direct it. Or I love what you're doing. Or let's get Matthew blah blah to come and produce it. Hold on a minute. No. I wrote this film. I'm going to direct it. And if I'm not, I will find myself a director. I don't need, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you like it, I'll take it with me if you don't.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, man. So it's a whole different ball game, man, where I'm at now. But the key thing is investing in yourself, having self-belief.
I love what you said there about investing in yourself. I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said that investment in knowledge pays the best dividends.
100%.
And it's all about investing in yourself, building yourself up, building up that confidence. And let's face it, sometimes we don't start off in that place where we have belief in ourselves. So for anybody who's listening right now, if you're in that space, you've heard some tips there, start investing in yourself. But also something that I experienced also in my journey was sometimes if you don't believe in yourself, and this goes back to part of what we just discussed about surrounding yourself with people who are where you want to be, who align with your values. There've been many people in my life who believed in me when I haven't believed in myself. And it's their belief in me that's pulled me into that reality that they saw that I could never see.
See, and there you go. It goes back to the same key element. Surround yourself with people that are where, do you know what I mean, where you want to be. Do you know what I mean? Because again, sometimes we don't see in us what other people see. True. And I've had that a lot. There's been times where I've been like, but people are like, no, Fredi, man, come on, man, you can do that. You know you can do that. That's like, you've done this, and this. You're telling me you can't do that. And I've got to scratch my head thinking, you know what, it's true, you know? Right. Do you know what I'm saying? And then that's why I got rid of that whole if thing. Because the minute you start doing ifs, man, right, what if this happens? And if that happens, then you start putting doubt into your mind. Whereas for me, if someone just says to me, oh, want to make a movie, what's the price? $500,000. My first thing is, all right, so how am I going to raise $500,000? How? Not if I can do it. I know I can do it. I can do what I like. The question is, how am I going to raise the money? Then I work out how, and then when. You know what I'm saying? And the rest is what it is, because you're already putting into existence and speaking into the universe what it is you want to make happen. The minute you start doing the if thing, you're already losing, man.
Of course.
I go into a boxing match. What if I can't win? What's the point of fighting? What's the point of fighting if you already don't know if you can win the fight?
Yeah, exactly. And it's an interesting thing that you said there. And I think there's some very powerful statements in there. So even in the Bible, I think there's a part where somebody goes up to Jesus and says, oh, if you can heal my child, please do. And Jesus is like, what do you mean if?
There
Some
you
you
go.
believe, but you don't believe. And it reminds me a lot a bit like Yoda. If any of you are Star Wars fans out there, by the way, Yoda's my favorite character. Where I think it's in The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke says he's gonna try, and Yoda says, "No, try. You do or you don't do. Simple."
I say the same thing. Sorry to cut you to my son. My son, I have the conversation, right? I said, you see, when people go to cross the road, you know what gets them killed? The fact that they put their foot in, out. They're not sure if they can get to the other side. You see, if you're going to cross the road, just cross it or don't. Yeah. So I said to my son the other day, try and cross the road. He said, what do you mean? I said, it's impossible to try. You either cross the road or you don't. You can't try and cross the road. You just cross it or you don't. It's just like when you pick the time back to the when you cross. Trying to cross the road is not something that you do. You just either cross it or you don't. And so that's more of the same of what we're talking about. Like anything in life that you want to do, stop trying to do it. Just do it. You know what I mean? Why are you trying?
Exactly. Just go for it. And I think that's a powerful message, not just for adults, but for the young people as well, which we'll be talking about shortly as well. And so you recently, you just spoke about the fact that you've, recently released your first of 3 feature films, right? So I believe you got like 6 short films behind you, and you've now just released your first feature film, which I believe is the Living Dead movie. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Talk us through how you came up with that idea, and then, how you brought that into existence.
Oh, that's mad, bro. So I've got about 8 films on my slate, 8 feature films written, done, dusted. The Living Dead was originally called I'll Be Dead Yet. And it's just funny how marketing and just again, it's all about learning. So that film's got so many people in it. My mum's in it, but she passed away. Rest of her soul. Cadet, Steve-O the Madman, Chunks, Charles Venn, Professor Green, Ori Styler, Paul Danan. There's so many people in this film.
Right, okay.
It's a comedy horror. I kind of got bored of the same narratives. All the films that were coming out were about guns, drugs, prison. And to be fair, when you're from a world, I guess like where we came from, that's a daily occurrence. So I'm not really trying to make films about things that I've lived. Do you know what I mean? I want to do something different.
Let me jump in there, because sometimes I see it like, even when I'm watching TV or even like hip hop, right? I mean, how many different ways can you tell the same story?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, if I was going to do it, I got a film that I wrote called The Root, which is that story, but I've written it from a whole different perspective.
Right.
I ain't going to talk about it because that's a spoiler. But my point being is that if you're going to do something like that, you got to do it differently. Do you know what I mean? So with The Living Dead, I was like, look, I'm bored of the same narrative, same old films. Black people always getting pigeoned as doing violent films, guns, drugs, prison. I'm like, we've got more stories to tell.
Exactly.
And because a lot of the films at that time were going that way, I created my own lane. That's what I said, I'm not that person in it. If I see, I go right. They go left, I go right. Go back, I go forward. So I'm like, no one ain't making no films about this, about horror. Bro, name me another black person in the UK who's made a horror film. Like, there was none. America had Jordan Peele with Get Out and Us. So I was he's killing it over there. But no one in the UK, there's no black directors or producers in the UK that have done it. So I'm like, all right, I can do that. Again, no ifs. How am I going to do it and when? I sat down, started writing my script, had the whole concept in my head. And it's basically about 5 robbers who rob a house. They try to get away. The car breaks down. They go through a woods and end up in a haunted castle. And the castle's haunted by what we would call mandem. Because when you watch ghost films, the ghosts are always old, ugly, and scary. But not everyone that dies is old, ugly, and scary.
True.
But in this film, you got mandem ghosts that are cool. And you got girls that are pretty and young. And do you know what I mean? It's not the typical, so it's a comedy, basically. But there's other little kind of like hidden messages in the film. And that was basically it. I just wanted to do something that was, put my name on the map. Because I got tired of going into meetings and they kept telling me, well, I love your scripts and you're really creative, Fredi, but let's get someone else to do it. So I wanted to take control and ownership. Do you know what I mean? I learned from the music days when I was rapping, a lot of people back in the day were really talented, but their business was rubbish. So they weren't making no money. Their name would be out. I feel like a lot of black people have what I call the magpie syndrome. Do you know what I mean? Where they like all the glitz and the glamour and the shiny stuff. So they'll be being on a TV screen, shining, doing the diddy dance, but got no money. You know what I'm saying? And for some reason, over the years, a lot of black people have been caught in this magpie syndrome where anything that shines is, I want it. We go buy a big chain. We don't get a nice car. But hold on a minute, what's your business ethics like? What's your house like? Big house, big car, big chain, but nowhere to live. Magpie syndrome. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think is the root cause? Because that syndrome seems to be around from young. Hey, here's a quick confession. I remember when I was younger, when we were younger, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, boy, I got £10, right? Should I save this? Actually, let me go out and rave, you know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're trying to weigh things up. Or what's going to make me look good? We thank God that we've grown out of that, but it's something that seems to be quite rife. And you also spoke there about actually the failings of some people succeeding in the music industry, and we've seen it all before, right? So many big artists who had album after album, you're like, yeah, my man must be popping off. But when they finish, it's like they owe them money. It's like, dude, you owe me money.
Yeah, those
entourage this and that.
Yeah. Listen, it took me a long time, and again, that's why I give praise, because I feel like through my music career, I was doing lots. My name was ringing bells. I was doing stuff, but I wasn't really making a lot of money because I didn't know what I was doing. But I always had the perception of power is power. And I kind of got out of it at a time, which has now taught me about ownership and learning and having the business side sorted out, the bank account sorted out, and things like that, and the limited companies and things. Do you know what I mean? There's so many little things that I learned through the music industry, where now in the film world, I'm in a much securer, different place. And back to your question about the Magpie thing, I feel like we always want a lot of, we want what other people have all the time, man. And what they always, sometimes what other people have is not what it's made out to be.
Of course.
I remember being younger, right, watching music videos and seeing these guys in swimming pools and all the girls and the chains. And I'm like, I want that, man. I want that. So I got involved in rap because I used to see these guys flossing and thinking, yeah, I want that, innit? So I'm either gonna, back then, I'm either gonna rob someone and take it off them, or I'm gonna just do the whole thing. So I got involved. It wasn't until I went to America and I went to go and stay with someone that I thought was massive that I was like, raw. So those cars that I saw in your video, they're not even yours. You rented them. And that house, this is not the house. I want to be in the house.
When I was coming to the house, bruv.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, I want to stay in the house I saw in the video. I don't want to stay in this house. And why am I sharing a room with? No, I want the house with the swimming pools and the pillars. And that's when I got to realize that the whole thing was bullshit, bro. A lot of fake. The record labels putting down money on this and money on that and money on that. Then they got to recoup and pay for this and pay for that. That's when I opened my eyes and I realized that a lot of these people are not who they are. I'm not sure if you remember recently, what's his name? Rick Ross made a song called Idols Become Rivals.
Right.
Anyone that's tuned in, right? Anyone that's tuned in, Google Rick Ross's song called Idols Become Rivals, right? And he talks about how when he first met Birdman, Birdman was flossing a certain way. And he thought that all the stuff that he had was his. And it wasn't until later on he realized that, bro, the things that he thought were real weren't even real. But now Rick Ross has those things. It's a wicked tune, but for those people that overstand where he's coming from. So when I heard that song, I'm like, brother, if I could reach down the phone and through the screen and give him a high five, I totally get it. Because that's what I was. I got sucked into seeing these guys with all this stuff and it's bullshit.
So what would you say then? Because so many people fall into that trap, right? Like you said, all that glitters is not gold, but it's the Magpie syndrome. And it's like, boy, you know me, I signed a 50 grand contract and yeah, I got a new Merc and yeah, it's all good. And bam, 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 bam. What would you say it is about you that helped you to navigate that, to become the successful business owner, artist, producer? Because in effect, as a producer and a director, you're also creating jobs, right? You're building an industry around you. You're not just, do you know what I mean? It's not just about you anymore. It's about many. What would you say, therefore, if you was to pinpoint that kind of key thing about yourself that helped you to navigate it in such a way that you got this now?
Do you know what? It's a bit of a weird one. I mean, there's quite a few different factors. One of them is fear. If you've got a faith, right, and you got a fear in the Almighty and what's going on around you, right, and you look back what you've done negatively, you start thinking to yourself, raw, like I've got to give back, man, because I've done so much nonsense. What can I? Yeah, I'm like, I've got to start paving my way back in it, because otherwise, you know what I'm saying? And it becomes down to people's faith and what they see and how they believe. Not everyone's got the same faith or the same vision or the same. So part of it was to do with faith. The rest of it was, some of it's to do with what I've been through, being in the industry, seeing people over there and being like, nah, I don't want to be like you. I don't want to end up like you. You used to have, now you have nothing, innit? Like, I've seen you have, and we've gone out and you've been flossing. Like, now you've got nothing. I mean, to see how, to show you how serious I am, right? I've been in the same day job for 25 years. So not only am I making films, I work full time. So when people, I remember back in the day when I was doing stuff and people used to tease me like, "Oh, Fredi, you're a rapper and you're going to work. You ain't making no money. Yeah, you're a rapper." But you see, 25 years later, my pension is looking messy. It's proper, like, nice. Where if I was to leave tomorrow, I don't need to work because my pension is nice. These same guys that were making money back then, laughing at me, ain't got no money. They're signing on. Do you know what I'm saying? So my point being basically that it's about having a vision of longevity. It's not just about, okay, so what can I get today? Okay, you know what, like 50 grand. That's nice. Let me go buy a car. Let me go buy a chain. It's about investing and not always investing into things. Sometimes invest in your head, in your headspace, man. People think investment's always to do with money and property and stuff. Sometimes you need to invest in your personal well-being, your thinking, your thought process. That's much more powerful than investing into a product. Invest into your mindset.
I think one thing I think I've done that many years ago. I can't remember who it was, whether it was Nelson Mandela's book I was reading or something, where they spoke about actually they can lock up you physically, but they can never take this. This is your weapon. This is your key. This is the answer to everything. And like you said, if you're prepared to take your money and invest in courses, do what it takes to build this up, then it doesn't matter where your starting point is. You can get anywhere in life, but if you've got that focus and that drive and that determination, right?
100%, man. And if you do this, you do this. I remember hearing a tune when Jay-Z and Dame Dash were arguing, and Jay-Z got on a tune like, it was basically saying to Dame that because Dame was saying that, look, I made you, kind of thing. And Jay-Z responded by saying, well, if you made me, make another one then. And it made me realize that if you made me, then make another me then, basically.
It's true, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So we all have our own personal attributes that make us who we are. But it's about us believing in who we are and making it, you know what I mean? Turning it into something, man. A gun by itself is nothing. You give a gun to someone who doesn't know how to use it, it's nothing. But in the right or wrong hands, depending on how you look at it, it's one of the most powerful weapons in the world. So it's the same with a mindset. If you got the mindset of someone who can do wonders, but you don't know how to use your mindset, it's nothing. It means nothing because you've got all the power in your hand. You got an AK-47 in your hand, but you don't know how to pull the trigger. So it's worth nothing. But if you hand that same gun to somebody who knows how to fire it, everyone better duck. And it's the same with the mindset. Once your mind is in tune with what you want to do and it's powerful thinking, you become a very dangerous person.
It's like they say, right? It's like a saying that I say. So a lot of people believe that knowledge is power. And I always say, actually, that statement is not true. It's misleading. Applied knowledge is power. You can know that you know. If you do nothing with that knowledge, that don't mean anything. You ain't going to go nowhere. And if we look around the world, we see, lots of people being successful. But the reality is, the majority of them are not necessarily talented more than the everyday person. It's just they're more committed, more focused, more determined, more persistent. Yeah, more longevity thinking. Okay, you know what? Right now, I'm just gonna take my little, make it into two, take my two, make it into four. You guys are all looking good over there. Don't watch me. Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah, applied. Like you said, it's applied. It's applied. And sometimes it's like it's putting yourself in the right spaces, man. That's why sometimes you hear a song that is total garbage, but it's making millions because it's in the right place. And then you've got these people that are really talented, and you say, wow, how come you're not signed yet? Well, how come you ain't this yet? Because they're not in the right space. They're not putting themselves in the right place. So there's so many different factors, man. But it's about being in tune with those factors and knowing what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. But applying yourself. Like you said, knowledge isn't power. It's applying the knowledge that creates power.
Awesome. So we know that right now we're in a time where the world's going through massive change, massive change, right? So we've got the whole COVID things. COVID is changing the way that we live, the way we work, even the way we socialize. I mean, nowadays you're not allowed to socialize, what is it, more than one person, unless you've got friends who go grouse hunting and you can go with 29 of them. I still need to ask Boris though, if I buy a bottle of grouse whiskey, am I good to hang out with like 28 other people? Because he said grouse, he didn't specific about what he was talking about. So I think I can get him on that one. But how do you think that's going to impact the entertainment industry? And how do you think that's going to change the way that the entertainment business operates?
Well, I feel like for everybody, those people that know how to adapt win. You understand? That's why the crocodile and the alligator, they're one of the oldest animals in the world.
Millions.
So if you go back to the days of dinosaurs, they were around those days, yeah? And they adapted to be able to come on land, go in the water, breathe under. They adapted and they moved with the times, hence why they're still here. So anyone that's caught in the dinosaur mode in this world that we are in today and knows how to adapt will win. If they're not, they will lose. So I'll give you an example, right? During COVID, loads of people was moaning and complaining about, oh, this and that. What I done, I sat down, I wrote a TV show with 5 episodes. I wrote 2 feature films. I went online, I went to the virtual Cannes meeting, and I understood that, you know what, right now, Netflix, Sky, Amazon, they need content. They need content because no one's making no films now. So my was, okay, so I need to think quick and jump on it. So while everyone was, what am I gonna do, what am I gonna do? I was busy editing my next film. And I put it into the marketplace because it's about understanding. I understood that they would need content. So I went straight in with content and I had like 30 or 40 companies all bidding for this next film. That was me adapting to the marketplace, understanding that we're now in a world where everything is online, or everything is at the touch of a button. Do you know what I mean? And so I feel like with the entertainment business, those people that understand the whole model of adapting and, do you know what I mean, and mutating it into different forms will win. Those people that are kind of caught up in their own so-and-so thing, and they're going to lose.
I think you raised a really interesting thing there because it just reminded me as well. So the Japanese have a symbol. So, you know, Japanese, right, they have a symbol. And the symbol for crisis is made up of danger and opportunity. So in Chinese, in their culture, they see that things are actually, you know, duality of stuff. So yin and yang and all of that stuff. But they recognize that and what you just outlined there, because when you even saying that, I'm thinking, actually, that's true. Because right now, actually, if you think about it, we are consuming a lot more digitally, right? Because people are going to be at home, they're going to be consuming a lot more digitally, which means people are going to get through the content a lot quicker, which means that, of course, like you said, people like Netflix are going to be looking like, well, what new content are we going to get in? And plus our sources all dried up. Where do we get this new thing from? So if you're watching out there right now and you've got a camcorder or anything like that, you hear there's an opportunity. We're going into lockdown from Thursday, right? According to Boris, we've got to go into lockdown. You've got a month to come out of there with something new.
And if you're clever and you're creative, all you guys that have got cameras, right? This is the first time you can get a street, right, where it's clear to filming. Imagine now, on a normal day, to lock down the whole of a bridge, right? Say London Bridge or something, you're not getting that. You're going to pay hundreds of thousands. Now you've got whole streets, Oxford Street, these roads that will be empty because the shops are open, and you can shoot footage that you just would never be able to get. So it's about thinking creative and being to yourself, okay, you know, what can I get now that I wouldn't be able to get? And you can just sit on it. You just shoot that scene now. Okay, I've got a guy walking over the bridge at 5 in the morning and the bridge is empty. Write a film about. Do you know what I mean? You just got to work with what's out there and make it work for you.
Sure, I like that once again. So there's opportunities everywhere, guys, and it goes back to what we've kind of been talking about. It's in the mind. It's that you know, those who think they can or can't, they're right. So right now, like I said, there's opportunities. The world is changing. I mean, like, you know, some of the work I've been doing for many years is working with large organizations, helping them to take advantage. Or actually, at the time, we didn't even know COVID was coming. It was more about, okay, we've got this digital age, which is disrupting all of these industries. So whether it's media, whether it's banking, whether it's aviation, manufacturing, they've been disrupted for many years. So part of my role has been helping those organizations to make the transition and be ready to be able to survive in a digital world, because digital disruption is brutal. It's exponential. It can kill any business. It doesn't matter how much money you got. If you're not positioned properly, it will take you out eventually. And a lot of them are doing quite well as well. And so hearing you also talking about, you know, sharing that with the listeners about actually, you know what, there's opportunities right now. There's a digital age right now. The streets are going to be clean right now. There's an opportunity for you to think outside of the box. Don't be constrained by the fear and everything else that's coming up. Yeah, and obviously I'm sensitive to the fact that this is real. It's affecting people's incomes, it's affecting people's health. What I'm doing is also challenging those who are listening out there to also start thinking, well, how do you utilize this to your benefit? Because like we see, Zoom have done very well, Amazon done very well, Netflix done very well, and this is the digital age that we live in. Now, we've spoke before, which you touched on as we start wrapping up. We touched on some of the work that you're doing and you're giving back to the community. As I know you have a couple of community-focused organizations. One of them is called CRIME, or CRIM, and it stands for Creating Role Models in Media Enterprise. And you also have another company organization called Black to Black. Tell us a bit more about the work that you do in those organizations, and why did you feel the need to even set them up in the first place?
So with Crime, I've rebranded recently. So as you said, it was creating role models in media enterprise, but and the whole thing was crime pays. It was like an analogy on the whole word crime pays.
Gotcha.
I rebranded it recently as the Black Academy Enterprise. So like the Academy Awards, now it's like the Black Academy Awards, and it's more aimed at a lot of our young Black kids that are trying to rise up and you know, be steered in the right way. Like I said from the beginning, bro, it was really about giving back, man. Like I've seen a lot. I've been to funerals, countless funerals. I've carried coffins. You know, when you've done so much and you think to yourself, you know what, you've got to use your experiences to give back. Now, for me, I'm in a position where I make movies, and a lot of young kids and a lot of young people want to get into film and TV, and they have a lot of energy, and they're like, a lot of people just throwing, I got ADHD, or that, oh, they're this or they're that. But really, they just got all this energy that they want to get out and use in some shape or form. So for me, I thought, let me set up something which could help some of these kids. So I take these kids and put them in the film, whether it's acting, behind the camera, whatever it is, but giving them an opportunity. And so my thing is, I will give you an opportunity. What you do with the opportunity is now up to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if I give you a bike to ride down the road and you just don't want to ride it, that's on you. I've given you the bike. Here's your bike. If you don't want to ride it, I can't force you to ride it, but I can give you the tools to get from A to B. So that's kind of my mindset with the whole organization. So then we started to do it every year at the BAFTAs, Back to Black Awards, and it was basically, the whole motto was ordinary people that do extraordinary things. There's a lot of people in the world who go unrecognized for the stuff they do. And I just got tired of going to all these award shows. Remember, I've been doing bodyguarding and music for so many years. You go to an award show just to see people that are already famous. Like who cares? Like, I get it, but who cares? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to do something that would give to people that do not get recognized, but work twice as hard as those celebrities an award. So I was giving out that, basically I was using my own money, and I was giving awards to a lot of young people and community people, whether they're teachers, whether they're young people that have overcome illness, lost weight, some people are helping other kids. Basically, Pride of Britain, if you like, but doing it within the community that I could reach out to. And that's what Back to Black was. Then BAFTA decided to put the money up on me, man, and make it unaffordable for someone like me at the time. So I took 3 years out. I've now rebranded, and we come back next year, and it's being held at the Dorchester Hotel next October for Black History Month. So I'm in the middle of getting sponsors, trying to organize my team, and then we bring it back next year, October, man. So I'm back with the awards. It's called the Black Academy Awards next year.
Awesome. So, I mean, as we start to wrap up, I think that's one of those things that the community could get behind. What I'll do is, when I put the video together, I'll make sure I put the overlay on there with the information. But how do people actually get behind the support? Because what I'm hearing, this is from our own community, for our own community, which means rather than us doing a lot of this, or nowadays I say that it's easy to be a armchair revolutionary. All you gotta do is be in front of Facebook or like or comment or say, and then that's it, you're done for the year. I've done my bit. But this is an opportunity for us to actually really do something, take youngsters, add to something. And as we're hearing here, this is an example of somebody who's changed their life around, making a big impact globally, creating jobs, also bringing the young youths into those jobs, but taking young, what I call vulnerable, because a lot of these youngsters that we fear, we know it as well, right? They're vulnerable because any moment their lives can go, right? They're vulnerable in my mind. They're just vulnerable to me. So how will people be able to support you in that for the next year initiative?
there's so many different ways. I mean, obviously for me, the most obvious way really is financially. If you're a business and you want to invest or sponsor or put money into what I'm doing, that's a great way. It helps the community. But if you don't have that money and you have a skill set, it could be you're a designer, or you could be an artist, or you could be a project manager. There's room for you to get involved that way. And if you have none of those skills and you have no money, it costs nothing just to tell somebody about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't cost no money to go on your Facebook and say, look at this. So there's so many different ways to get behind it, man. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, I remember back in the day, there was that clothing brand, Fubu, for us, by us.
I remember Fredi.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like trying to just give back, man. Bro, I'm about legacy building, man. Like, in the next 100 years, 50 years, whenever it is, I won't be here no more. But my legacy will be. And mine's about leaving a legacy for my children and their children and their children's children. And if they can watch this video and watch my films and be like, right, that was my dad, or that was my granddad, or that was my, do you know what I'm saying? I'm good, man. I'm nice. That's what it's about.
And that's also that whole point of us recognizing that actually life is so much bigger than us. We're only here for like a blimp, you know, like they say, when you look at the tombstone, that little dip, that's you. That's life.
Nothing. It's about what you're remembered for in that blip.
Exactly. It's that.
And that's my thing, man. It's about that blip of a second. It's what people say about you when you've gone. Awesome. And that's what my thing is. It's about people saying, "Wow, yeah, man, he put in work still." Like, you know what I mean? And that's where I'm at right now. Like, I'm actually at that point now where I just want. Listen, if I don't make another penny, right? Like I said, my pension's nice. I'm all right. If I don't make another penny, but my kids are proud, I'm good, man.
I hear you on that one. I hear you. All right. So as we start to wrap up, also, I've got a question for you. So the latest figures show that 40% of Black families in the UK are currently living below the poverty line. I forgot the name of the organization that did it. They do a report into poverty every year, and they've done it. I'll put the link in the video afterwards for anybody's interested, or on Facebook, I'll put it underneath so you guys have a chance to go and have a look at it. 46% of Black families are living below the poverty line. They also say that based on the impact of COVID, that number is going to rise. So out of all of the different demographics, all of the different races, or whatever you want to call it, as per usual, we're the highest, right? 46% going up. The flip side is, and this might go back to something you talked about before, which was the Magpie effect. It's also stated that the annual consumer power of the Black community in the UK is 300 billion.
Ooh.
A year. Now, remember the first thing I said? Nearly 50% of them, of our community, are below poverty. So they're not part of that 300 billion. So that 300 billion is coming from the remaining 50% of us. What do you make of that?
Well, you know what? When you look at it, it don't take rocket science to look at and say that the other 50% are about their business and they're making money. The issue that we have, and I thought that we've had for years, is that the Black pound or the Black money doesn't stay in our community long enough.
Correct. Which is why CirQulate exists, right? Yeah. Let me just give you another stats and just for everybody else out there. So they say that I think the money stays in the Asian community 21 days. In the Jewish community, I think 17 days. In white communities, around 14 days. But in Black communities, less than a day.
That in itself tells you. And when you think about it, you can see signs of it yourself. You get paid. You go to Sainsbury's. You go to Asda. You go to
this goes out, Netflix, everyone takes the money.
You know what I mean? That's why I've got mad love for Swiss. Obviously, Swiss started this Black Pound thing. I know
exactly, yeah.
So I've got mad love for Swiss. The whole concept of spending Black, even if it's one day a month, is such a great thing. And we need to kind of empower ourselves with that whole Black spending. Even when it comes to films, it's like my job is to create content and make films. Now, for me, a movie will come out and the majority of people will either try and get it from somewhere where they don't have to pay for it, or they'll spend their money on a film that there's no one in it that they know. Like, when you think about it, if someone from America makes a movie, they'll jump all over it and go and spend money and go and watch it. But if someone from their hometown makes a movie, some people will support it and some won't. Do you know what I'm saying? And when you start looking at it like that, it's like, it's just all mad, bro. It's so crazy. So that's why I always try and do my bit. I give back where I can. Even if I don't even want to watch the film, not even interested in it, but it's a British film, I'll just support it because it's one of us. It's helping to sustain what we're doing. I've got clothes in my wardrobe that I don't even wear but I brought it because it's a British person who's designed it, who made it. I retweet, I repost brands that I don't even never heard of, but I just know that they're a British brand trying to get out there, and it costs me nothing to repost.
So I think you've also hit on some really key things here, because obviously part of CirQulate and this show is intended for the discussions, not to necessarily focus so much on the problems, but look at the solutions. And what I've heard from you there are very cost-effective solutions. So for those of you out there who may be time constrained, financially constrained, and at the moment, you know, do spend time on social media, putting your comments and doing your likes, which is great. What I'm hearing here is actually there's another opportunity. So this is something that you also know happens through CirQulate the Black Pound, which is my Instagram, for CirQulate, which is intended, like we said, to keep the money in the community. Actually, just start promoting other people's things. I mean, what does it take for you to press a button and promote? The more we get people's businesses, ventures, things that they're doing out there and exposed, the more likely we are to provide opportunities for people to spend with our own. But also, which is also something you alluded to there, it creates drive, and other people might say, hey, I haven't got no money, but I've got time. How can I support you?
100%.
I'm passionate about this as well. How can I join that? But if we don't show that and we just have comments about, oh, that's a nice picture, oh, that's a lovely cat, how does that really serve it? And I'm not saying any of that's wrong, so don't get me wrong, anybody's listening. I'm not saying that's wrong. We've also got to start, like we said, start thinking with purpose, start thinking with
100%. Well, I've got a question for you.
Yes. Before you go, here's the thing about it. I knew this would happen, because one thing Fredi hasn't told you, he also has a talk show. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going up against somebody who has a talk show.
Yeah, I've got a couple. So my first question is, you've been asking me all the questions, brother. I know your past. We used to move together. We were on the road doing stuff, and I remember saying to myself, "Raw." I remember I hadn't seen you for so many years. And then I saw you, and I'm like, wow, no way. Like you done a 360, like I did, that whole change your life around. How did you change your life around?
The thing is, when you were saying certain things, it just totally resonated with me. I think there was a certain mindset that we were stuck in. And I can just share this openly. I think it was after my second stint in prison. And then I came out and I just started seeing things differently. I'm just like, what's this about? And I guess I feel I've always been blessed. I feel God has always touched me in my life and got me out of situations that I shouldn't have got out of. And something just kept on telling me, you're more than this. And I remember one day, and I can say this openly, I remember one day standing in front of a mirror and just crying to God, saying, God, please forgive me for all the things that I've done. I'll pay it back. I'll do good. I'll give it back to the community. In fact, you know what? I know I'm going to have to pay back all the things that I've done. All I beg you, God, is don't make me pay it back at once, because I can't afford that. And then I just committed myself to that. And it's been a hard journey, like you said, investing in self, working in prisons, working with the youths, doing stuff with 100 Black Men of London, just giving lots of my time. So much so, like you said, you know, people used to ask, oh, why are you just doing that for free? Or, why? Oh, you're silly, you're stupid. But over the years, I've just built up my knowledge, and then I managed to find myself a niche, push myself into that niche, using, similar to you, just using all the things that we use as survival. You can use it in the real world to actually add benefit. And now I'm blessed and fortunate to work with large global organizations, or multi-million, multi-billion pound change management organizations. And some of them, I have to go in and say, look, because part of the security again is say, hey, here's my past. And they say, hey, don't watch the past. We know what you can do. Come in. And so it's that work.
Sorry. Anything you're doing, like, brother, like, I mean, I'm saying this openly, brother, so the world can hear. Anything you're doing that you need me for, just holler. Like, no matter how I get up in the chain, and no matter what I'm doing, you're one of those guys that likes, and I consider you a brother, man. Like, bro, anytime you want to call me and be like, Fredi, I'm working on this project, can you get involved? I'm a phone call away. I've got one more question for you, though. One more question.
Okay,
Brother, you look exactly the same from when we used to move together. It's like all they've done is to slap on some hair on your face, and that's it. How have you managed to look? How have you managed to say, you look exactly the same? All you've done is added a beard. That's it. And that's it.
That's a lockdown.
How have you managed? You just retained the same. You haven't aged at all. Like, in no shape or form. Like, is that not being stressed? Is that what is it that's allowed you to, I guess, live a lifestyle that we have come from and still look like you've not done nothing. See, I know in it, but you look like you ain't done shit, bro. Because it's like you just look stress-free, like you've got no stress and everything is calm. What is the secret? Share that shit, man. You gotta share that.
I'm gonna share that secret. I'm gonna just be totally honest. My life is not stress-free, right? It's totally not stress-free. It's actually totally the opposite with some of the personal stuff that I'm dealing with. But like we've been discussing, we're alluding all the time, is what I've learned over the years is everything is in here. Ultimately, nothing out there really matters. It's what's in here. Do you know what I mean? Can we have peace in the midst of the storm? When it's all falling apart, can we have something that we pull on to say, you know what? Actually, you know what? This might not be right now, but I'm going to believe it's going to be good for tomorrow. So I'm going to live in tomorrow. Because if you think about it, and I think there's this saying I heard once before, which is somebody said, all the things that I've ever worried about in my life never ever happened. But here's the thing about worry. We experience the thing like it's real. So our body goes through all of that and everything else. Now, don't get me wrong. I still worry sometimes, but every so often I remind myself, dude, snap out of that. What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Why worry about something? How do you change it? How do you change it so you can actually get to that point where you can look back and say, okay, you later, you can't trouble me no more. But it's and on top of that, God, do you know what I mean? I think my faith in God, my belief in God also kind of helps me to deal with life.
I hear you. I wanted to get out of you, man. So, I mean, like sometimes I get invited onto shows, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on your show, but I'm gonna ask you something. You know what I mean? I always make sure I got.
And once again, for the listeners out there, I think once again that you see it right there is actually why allow yourself to always be boxed in? Because what you just demonstrated is I'm not going to be boxed in. Yeah, you've invited me on your show, but hey, you know what? I'm a human being. I want to ask you some questions. And that's what it takes to be successful. You've got to break the mold. You've got to be able to break the mold.
It's about value in it. I know what you having me on your show does, I guess, for you learning, but I need to learn from you too. And you just taught me some stuff. So it's always about learning from each other. Do you know what I'm saying? It's very easy to go on the show and talk.
Of course.
But okay, now I need to get something out of it too. And you just dropped some gems on me, so thank you.
You know what I mean? Brother, man, it's only right because you give me so many gems that have just reinforced or give me some new insights, and so I really, really appreciate it. So I appreciate you taking the time out to spend, because I know you're a very, very busy man, and you've shared a lot, and I'm sure the people out there, you know, getting some comments. Thank you, Candy, and for everybody else who's listening in. And obviously the video will be recorded. It's recorded and it'll go out as well. But just as we start wrapping up here with this last question. So for me, I've known you for many years. But now I'm seeing over the years, and I've been tracking your success and following your success and saying, wow, which has also inspired me to be quiet, because I'm like, wow, I know where he came from. If he can do it. And like my mum, because here's the thing as well, you're Nigerian, right? So all the Nigerians, Africans, they know this. It's like some days I used to come back with like a B. Mom, Dad, I got a B. They say, Did somebody get an A? Yeah, Billy got A. Does he have 2 heads? No. Does he have 4 arms? No. Does he have 5 legs? No. So why did you get a B? You should get an A. You know those ones. So I'm watching you and I'm saying, hey, I know if he can do it, well, why can't I? Why can't I break the molds and stuff like that? But what I would like to know from you is what I'm seeing here, and even from this conversation and through your work, it demonstrates is that you're clearly a man of strength, determination, focus, and somebody with a heart for giving back, who recognizes actually we receive more by giving. A lot of people don't understand that principle. The more you give, the more you receive back. It's just the way it works. Doesn't make logical sense, but if you try and think about it logically, you won't ever get it. But the more you give from here, because if you just give with a reason to get back, you already cancelled that principle from working. When you give from here, which is you seem to be, what one key lesson have you learned on your many journeys in this life that you'd like to share with the people watching and listening?
Okay, so one key lesson, the most powerful and the biggest commodity that we have that we never get back is time. So money you can always get, property you can always get, partners you can always get, but time is the one commodity that if you waste it, you can never get back. So be mindful of who you give your time to, how you spend your time. I would say that's one of my biggest lessons.
Wow, I think that's a very, very powerful key tip you've given there. And I think a lot of people often overlook that, right? Chase the money, like you said, chase all the material stuff and all of those things. And I think when people go through enough in life, you can recognize those things can be here today, and life could just take it out from you at any moment. But like you said, time is the key.
And another one, I'll give you one more. Also, whatever you do, enjoy doing it. So I'll give you an example. Like, as a filmmaker, we spend all our life to try and get an Academy Award or an Oscar, yeah? But that award, the moment you're on stage, lasts about 8 seconds. Do you know what I'm saying? So you worked your whole life to get on the stage and hold up an award for 8 seconds or a minute. And that 1 minute when you hold up the award is supposed to be the best time of your life because you just won an award. But you spent 10 years trying to hold up the award. So it would make sense that you enjoy those 10 years rather than the 10 years is you hated it and now you've got 1 minute of enjoying it. So anything you do, make sure that you're enjoying what you're doing so that once you get to the point you want to get to, it's been a worthwhile journey. That's my other thing.
I think that's very powerful. Thank you. That just reminded me of something like Oprah used to say: find something that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah. The money will come in because you're not focusing on the money, you're just enjoying it. I'm loving this. It's like, oh, money, okay, money, okay, great. Oh, whoa, this is good. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that's really powerful. And also for those listening out there, that's also another tip to keeping young. Find something that you love, just do it. Your time flies. We all had that experience before, right? Where you're in a situation and you're around people that you're enjoying, you're doing something enjoying, and you look at the time, you're like, whoa, is that the time? That's like 10 hours is gone. Whereas we've also had that situation where you're doing something, you're like, okay, I'm not going to look at the time. Okay, I'm going to look at the time now because I'm sure like 2 hours are gone. It's like 5 minutes. Awesome, bro. I really appreciate everything that you've shared today. How do people get hold of your movies and contact details, so that people can engage with you? And once again, I'll make sure I put it on the captions.
Okay, so the latest film, The Living Dead, is out now. It's on all digital platforms: Amazon Prime, Sky TV, what else? iTunes. It's on all the digital platforms. Hopefully, in a few weeks to a month, it'll be on Netflix and also Sky Normal. Actually, not hopefully, it will be, because we speak that into existence.
Exactly. Amen. Metaphysical. Yeah. It will be.
It's going to happen. It will be.
Amen.
Do you know what? I'm where you want me to be in it. So if you want to get in contact with me, you can find me. So that's how I am. Do you know what I mean? Like when people say like, where can they find you? I'm here. I'm everywhere you want me to be. Do you know what I mean? Just go like Instagram, Twitter, my website, even through you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, there's a way. If you want to get in contact with me, you will find me, and I'm here. I'm very accessible. I don't do that whole bougie thing because it's about giving back in it. So if you need me and I can help you in any shape or form, don't feel no way to DM me, Instagram me, send me a message, and I will respond. I do respond. I'm not one of those people that looks at anything now. I don't know you. I respond to all my messages when I can.
Brother, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on this show. This show has touched me in more ways than I thought. Like I said at the beginning, the fact that I'm sitting opposite you in this new world, I call it, based on the old world that we came from, right? And that we're talking about bigger things, talking about stuff that impacts not just our communities, but global stuff, right? To me, that for me is just a sign of how blessed we are. And I feel even more blessed and even more inspired to recognize that, hey, and this is for other people as well, where we are or where life has us at any given moment doesn't necessarily matter as opposed to where we go. You heard there about time. Sometimes we think about like stuff. It's like when I look at my life journey, and maybe you as well, when I look back at it, it's like, wow, it's nearly been 20 odd years. If you told me before that I'd have to do 20 years before I can get to this point, I'd have said, no, I'm not doing it. That's 20 years. That's not a level. But you go, Fred, it's only when you look back that you go, so it's just a reminder, as you had the time, it's important. There's a lot of work to be done, as we know. There's a lot of work to be done in our communities. I think that we're going to start recognizing that we are all part of the solution, and it's not about who's doing more, whatever. It's just, do we have the heart to even do a little? Just do a little. A lot of littles make a big thing, right? 100%. Together make a big difference. So, yes, once again, Freddie, I really, really appreciate you, my brother. Much love.
It's mad love. I'm going to hold you to one thing, though. I'm going to hold you to ransom to one thing. Once we get through this whole lockdown and COVID thing, let's get back to how we used to be. We're brothers. Yeah,
Exactly, brother.
let's go out for food, a drink, and eat, and let's get back to that brotherhood that we used to have. I know you're busy, I'm busy, we're doing our thing, but we should never have not
You're
enough
right.
time for our brothers, isn't it? So
You're
please,
right.
when this ends and we get to a point, let's make it let's make sure that we take a day out or an evening out to go and eat some food and politic on a level that is not business with brothers. Do you know what I mean?
I hear you, my brother, man. And you got my 100% word on that. And for those listening, just to let you know that we also hold ourselves accountable, because integrity is also making sure you hold yourself accountable. We'll post a picture when we make that happen, just to say, hey, brothers in mind back together. And obviously that opens up new opportunities. And then there's that war that we're going to create. I'm doing the colouring and then you're doing the drawing. let's make that dough, bro. Yeah.
No doubt.
Once again, my brother, God bless you. Really appreciate you. And to your everlasting high-rising success, and may it continue to inspire other people to do the same.
Thank you
For joining us. I hope this has been as inspirational for you as it has for me. I hope that you're taking away a few things from this that you can actually utilize in your art, in your life. Each one teach one. Let's all make a difference. And yeah, God bless all. Brother, again, take care.
Bless, brother.
Cheers, brother. Bye-bye.